They called it the Ark, a vast starship miles long, silent, bristling with containment fields and biomes cruising the void between galaxies. To its creators, the Soryn, the Ark, was a living museum. For eons, they had gathered the rarest creatures in the universe, collecting and cataloging, observing life from every world. But the Soryn never expected to find humanity. They certainly didn't expect what would happen next. It began with a flash. One moment. Lieutenant Elijah Rowe and his search and rescue shuttle were guiding a crippled cargo vessel through the Ort, and the next blinding light, static, darkness. He awoke in a strange glass cell, wearing his jumpsuit, utility belt gone, alone but alive. A chill settled in his bones as he realized he was not alone in the vast hall. Hundreds of cages, each with a different creature. Some chittered, some growled, some glared with alien intelligence. Above, catwalks buzzed with floating sore and willowy, six-limbed with crystalline eyes and not a hint of malice. They studied their guests with cold fascination. Elijah banged on the glass. "Hey, let me out." His words were met with curious glances and a flurry of data scribes. He realized this was not a rescue, but an experiment. The Soryn spoke in their chiming language, but the meaning was clear. Specimen collected, observation commencing. As days passed, Elijah tested the boundaries of his cell. He tried to map the feeding cycle, watched the light patterns, learned when the Soryn came and went. He wasn't the only human. In a nearby cell, he spotted another Chief Petty Officer, Samina Latif, a medtech from a ship lost months ago. They communicated by knocking patterns on the glass, then by writing backwards on the walls with condensation. Samina's sharp mind and steady nerves kept Elijah focused. Together, they began to understand the rhythm of the Ark. They made contact with other captives, aliens from distant worlds who had lost all hope. Isolated by fear and language, but humans adapt. Elijah and Samina learned snippets of speech, taught jokes, traded stories and small comforts. A network formed a defiant little society huddled in the artificial twilight. One night, the Soryn tried a new test. They flooded the hall with sleep gas, collecting data on the dreams of their captives. Elijah woke groggy but alert, noticing a maintenance drone slip into his cage to gather a pillow sample. With a burst of adrenaline, he tackled the drone, shorting its circuits, and hid the spark emitter under his mattress. Tiny victory, but the first crack in the Ark's armor. Over weeks, the humans and their alien allies pooled knowledge, finding weaknesses in the Ark's routines. Samina feigned illness, prompting a Soryn to enter her cell. She managed to grab its device and toss it to Elijah's cell before collapsing. The Soryn panicked, fumbling with controls, but it was too late. Elijah used the comm's basic translation to hack simple commands, enough to trick a lock sensor. Their escape began during a feeding cycle. Elijah slipped out, disabling sensors as he crept along catwalks. Freeing Samina and a dozen other prisoners, HA alien bringing their own skills. The Soryn, obsessed with data and procedure, never expected the chaos that followed. Humans and aliens spread through the Ark like wildfire, disabling systems, breaking containment fields, improvising weapons from lab equipment. The Soryn tried to seal the Ark, flooding sectors with knockout gas and shock drones, but humans were already legends among the other prisoners' tales of Earth's cunning. Adaptability and refusal to surrender had spread in whispers. Elijah led a charge on the control core, using the drone's emitter to fry security relays. Samina kept the wounded alive, her medtech training making her a lifeline for allies. As fighting raged, the Soryn made an offer: return to your cells, and we'll spare you. Elijah broadcast a single message on the Ark's intercom. We are not specimens. We are human. And we do not belong in cages. The breakout reached its peak as Elijah and Samina led a ragtag band into the command center. The Soryn commander, shimmering with authority, tried to subdue them with sonic pain fields. Elijah, bleeding but defiant, hurled the spark emitter at the field generator. It exploded, shattering glass and control panels. The Ark shuddered, alarms blaring. Cells all over the ship sprang open. Creatures from every corner of the galaxy, some monstrous, some gentle, some never meant to meet, burst free. The Ark descended into chaos. But in that storm, Elijah's voice rang out. Help each other, get to the hangar. Freedom is out there, take it. The prisoners rallied, fighting side by side. Samina dragged injured allies through collapsing halls, barking orders. Using every scrap of medical tape and adrenaline injector she could find, aliens followed her lead, realizing sometimes for the first time that escape was possible. At last they reached the hangar, where stolen Soryn shuttles waited. Elijah and Samina held the door as the crowd surged past, fighting off the last guards with nothing but a wrench and pure determination. When the Ark's core began to overload, they barely escaped in time, blasting free as the starship was swallowed by explosions. Free at last, the survivors scattered through the stars. Some vanished home, some sought new beginnings. But everywhere they went, the legend grew. The day the Soryn Ark fell, not to warriors, but to two humans and a band of prisoners who refused to be tamed. Elijah and Samina found their way back to Earth, changed and scarred, but with new friends and new purpose. Humanity was no longer just another specimen in the galaxy, or a warning and a promise. No cage could hold them, no collector could tame them. For in every corner of the universe, whenever someone felt trapped or powerless, a whisper traveled the dark. If you want to break your chains, find a human.